Welcome to DasGeek. So what I'm going to talk about in this video is something that I've been receiving a lot of emails and questions about, which is KVM and Virt-Manager, using KVM and qemu to virtualize, create virtual machines versus utilizing VirtualBox. Now, the first thing I'm going to point you to are some benchmarks here on Phoronix's site. He performed these around December of 2018. But you can see one of the reasons why you would want to use KVM over VirtualBox. So we have three things here. We have VirtualBox, KVM, and bare metal. And in this particular one, less is better. And you can see how close KVM gets to bare metal performance and how much faster it is in doing these tests than you're going to get from Oracle VirtualBox. Now, a lot of people stick with Oracle VirtualBox because it has that simple, beautiful GUI. And I'm going to show you Virt-Manager, which gives you that same capability, that same GUI, and you're going to get a lot more power out of it. At least that's what I've experienced in utilizing it. So seconds less is better. This is more is better. And you can see in every benchmark that we have here that KVM less is better, less is better. KVM continues to outperform VirtualBox in all of these benchmarks. And so that's a good reason why you would want to utilize this tool. Plus, it's always fun to fill your brains with something new. Now, those who don't know what virtual machines are or what you would use them for, let's say, for instance, I'm in Arch now and I want to virtualize or I want to install Kali, but I don't want to install it on my bare metal. I don't have a spare hard drive for it, or I have a big enough hard drive now. I don't need to use that for. Well, I can install Kali in a virtual environment, still get to go in there and explore and check out the tools, but not have to do a full install, maybe even don't have to risk accidentally overwriting one of my partitions or something along those lines. Another use case is those who want to use Windows 10. Maybe you need Windows, or Mac OS can even be done in some cases, depending on your hardware. You want to use one of those because you like some of the tools they have, or you need to interface with it in some way. Instead of installing a full Windows installation, you can virtualize that environment. If you have two GPUs, like for instance, let's say you have Intel and an AMD, or Intel and NVIDIA, you can even do GPU pass-through, where you're passing your acceleration, your 3D capabilities over into that virtualized environment. And that would allow you to say, maybe you're playing a game that's Windows only, play that game in a Windows virtual environment, but still be Linux as your main machine that you boot into. So there are a lot of reasons, and people set up virtual servers and everything else that you would want to use it, but that's an example of what you can do. Now, Mac users are probably some of the most familiar with virtualized environments outside of Linux because of the fact they have things like Parallels and other tools that create that virtual environment to allow them to do the same thing. So I've established KVM, QEMU, Virt-Manager, very powerful, very close to bare metal, a lot of cool things you can do with it. So now I'm going to show you how I'm installing it. I'm doing an install on it on an Ubuntu machine that I had set up, a laptop. I'm going to show you some of the steps and things to install, just to show you this really isn't that painstakingly difficult of a process. But before we get into that, maybe you don't want to do a virtual machine. Maybe you want a server. Maybe you want a server out in the cloud that you can interact with. So the future me is going to tell you about the sponsor of this channel right now. This video, and in fact the entire channel, is now sponsored by DigitalOcean. If you are not familiar with DigitalOcean, you need to be. I want you to head to do.co/DLN, and you're going to get a 60-day, $100 credit to go try out the services there. In fact, a lot of you love the DasGeek community website, where I do brain dumps and have guides and some of the code and bash scripts that I've written. All of that is hosted out there on DigitalOcean. It is the most developer-friendly cloud platform. It's optimized to make managing and scaling apps easy with an intuitive API, multiple storage options, integrated firewalls, load balancers, and so much more. I get asked all the time, how did you learn Linux so fast? DigitalOcean was one of the keys to that. I would go out there, create a droplet of different Linux servers and services, and play around. And then if I mess something up, it's no big deal. I could just reset the server and try again. You can get all this, plus access to the world-class customer support for as low as $5 per month. So that $100 credit gives you a ton of ability to play around with all the different services. But then after that, you can have as little as $5 per month. You could have a website hosted there, or any of the other services that you need. And that, my friends, is darn near free at $5 a month. DigitalOcean has over 2,000 cloud agnostic tutorials. We talk about this all the time on Destination Linux. These tutorials work. When they say cloud agnostic, they mean even if you decided not to use DigitalOcean, which you would be a fool not to, you still could use their awesome tutorials that are out there for free to stay up to date on all the latest open source software, languages, and frameworks. So again, that's 2 months free, $100 credit, do.co/DLN. Thank you, DigitalOcean, for sponsoring this channel. Now, whether using KVM or VirtualBox, you're going to need to make sure virtualization is set up in your BIOS. Once that's done, then you're going to install these packages here: qemu-kvm, libvirt-daemon-system, libvirt-clients, and bridge-utils. You also could add virt-manager here to install that at the same time, but I like to make things difficult for you so that you have to run the command sudo apt install twice. But just add in virt-manager, and then once that is fully installed, we're just going to launch it right here, and then we can start playing with our settings. So I'm going to click on, well, we get an error at first, so if we just do the same thing but run sudo first, I like to show you the errors that you're going to get just in case you don't freak out. Click on the little computer now, and you've got options to install from network or local. We're going to choose local. We already have our ISO selected, but if you didn't, you could go to browse in your downloads and whatever ISO you downloaded, Windows, Kali, whatever, you can select it there. Now, Kali is Debian based, but we can, of course, choose something like Ubuntu, which is also Debian based, or just go generic because we're going to do our own settings here. And I'm going to go ahead and set up how much memory I want to dedicate to the virtual machine and how many CPUs and how much space I want to use. 20 gigabytes is fine for Kali, may not be fine for something like Windows, for instance. You can name this whatever you want. It's going to kind of give you a preview of what you're setting up. You don't have to choose custom configuration, but I want to show you, in case you do, what options you have. So this is where we can add other hardware in if we want. This is where we can check our settings to make sure that our virtual network interface is the one we want to choose for it. So I'm just using the default NAT here, which you can use bridges and other things at this point. You could also, if you had dual CPUs like an Intel that was integrated GPU and CPUs, GPUs, and an NVIDIA, this is where you could go to PCI and do that pass through there if you wanted to add that in. But I'm just going to click begin installation because I'm not doing anything that fancy. And through the magic of editing, we're already here at the graphical install screen, and we can go through our installation of Kali Linux. So you can see the settings and getting set up. The speed of it is very quick. It's just as fast as VirtualBox, and you're going to have a much faster experience running your virtual machines in it. And I think Kali is a good test case here because a lot of people are afraid of what Kali can do and some of its tools, but want to play around with it. Great example of a fantastic way to set up Kali in a virtual machine so you can see some of those tools. Don't really have to worry about damaging too much. I mean, you still could, but you're not having it on bare metal, which they don't recommend using Kali as your main machine anyways. So I'm going to log in here because there's some settings we're going to want to set up to get things like bi-directional copy and paste. And what that means is I want to be able to copy from my host machine, my main OS, Ubuntu, into Kali. And so if I do the spice-vd agent, so sudo apt install spice-vd agent, then this is going to allow me to have that bi-directional cut and paste here. And I'm just going to restart the server once I install that. And now I'm typing out a really complex command that you certainly would want to copy and paste between the two, your host and your virtual machine, just to show you it works. And if I paste selection from clipboard, paste clipboard here, boom, look at that. I was able to take a command that I had from my clipboard in Ubuntu and paste it into my virtual machine. I can always click the I up here as well. This allows me to, again, go in and customize and change and add different things if I need to right from the virt-manager interface, which is fantastic. So if some of these settings, you'll need to make sure you'd have to turn off the virtual machine first if you're adding certain hardware, making changes to hardware. But it's just so awesome. They make this interface so easy, just a couple buttons, and you can play around here, add different file paths in if you need, storage volumes, all of that you can pass through to your virtual machine. Very simple to use. All right, so now I'm going to show you how to SSH into your virtual machine. So I'm copying that IP address there, and I'm just going to show you if we don't do any settings at all, and I'm on my host machine and I want to SSH into that virtual machine, and I hit enter, connection refused, port 22. And that's because we need to turn on some services here. So we're going to enable the ssh.service. We're going to start it first, and then we're going to enable it. And this will allow us to SSH right into our virtual machine, which I will show you here now once we switch back to our host and put in that command. Boom. Now it wants to share the fingerprint. Now I'll show you where I got some of, so that's the full command there to SSH. And now I'm going to show you where I got that 5900 from. Again, I'm going to go back and click on that little I. And if I look at my display size, look at that. Display spice is port 5900. So that's where I got that port from if you're curious. So now I'll show you, just type yes and my password for my virtual server. And boom, we are all set up. So now you know how to bi-directional copy and paste, which is one of the questions that was emailed to me, and SSH into the virtual server, so you can do that as well. So QEMU, KVM together make an awesome pair. Virt-Manager to manage it all through a nice GUI. It's right there. It's just as simple as VirtualBox. I absolutely love it. I'm not an expert in this in any stretch of the imagination. I only use, a quarter, if that, of the capabilities of these tools. So if you know more, leave it in the comments below, some other tools, tips, and tricks that you utilize to get the most out of KVM and QEMU, as well as Virt-Manager. Maybe I did some settings that could even be better if I changed some things. So let me know in the comments below. And until next time, get out there and fill your brains.
Don't forget to subscribe! And make them everything like this video.